The Ancient Gods Part 1 has been out for a few months now, and people have beaten the DLC in every way you can imagine. The Doom Eternal community is devoted to mastering the game, but is the Ancient Gods too difficult for newcomers to play? That's what I want to talk about here, and to put it briefly, I think if you can comfortably beat Doom Eternal's base campaign, you are more than able to handle the DLC. Yes, the Ancient Gods does ramp up in difficulty from the base game, and it throws challenges at you that might be overwhelming at first, but you will naturally adjust and improve. If you're charging ahead into the DLC without playing Doom Eternal first, or maybe you haven't played it in like a year, then yeah, you should expect it to be hard. Doom has always had difficult expansion packs, and Doom Eternal is no exception to this. The first Doom had Episode 4, which was packaged with the Ultimate Doom, and that was way harder than anything in the base game. Of course, Doom 2 had the Master levels and also Final Doom, and those two expansions were handmade for Doom experts. The monster placement and level design for those expansions can get incredibly tricky to deal with, and that's all on purpose. A newcomer to the franchise wouldn't and shouldn't jump into Plutonia straight away and expect to have a good time. I'm not saying players should get good or anything to play the DLC, because I think that mentality is kinda fucking stupid, but I don't think it's too much of a request to get acquainted with the base game first before anyone says it's too hard. For those that have beaten the main game and still think that the Ancient Gods is too difficult, that's fair enough. The difficulty is purposely constructed in that way though, and that's not inherently a bad thing, especially because Doom has always had expansions that were harder than the original game. Even Doom 3 had Resurrection of Evil, and while that did add the super shotgun to counter the new enemies, that expansion had some difficult sections. With the Ancient Gods, I don't think there are any artificially difficult areas in the levels, with the exception of the Arachnotron Fog section in the Blood Swamps. It's not impossible, and there are shortcuts and strategies to deal with that part very easily, but I don't think it's the most well-designed section either. I feel like everyone has a section in Doom Eternal or the Ancient Gods that you flat out just don't like for whatever reason, and one of mine includes the Arachnotron Fog section. I know that other people hate the Purple Goo sections in Exaltia, for example. Back to the DLC, there have been a lot of Doom Eternal fans criticizing players and game journalists for having shitty footage and playing the Ancient Gods poorly when it was released. I don't see what the big deal is and why Doom Eternal fans are unironically offended at bad gameplay footage of the DLC. Reviewers that work on these huge gaming sites don't spend 9 months with the game like the fans do, so when they get their hands on the DLC, it's no wonder why they are playing poorly. I don't get why Doom Eternal players get offended or triggered by these mainstream journalists, but whatever. I'm interested to hear what your initial impressions were for the Ancient Gods, and if you had a hard time with it at first. Also, is the DLC too hard for players? I'd love to know what you think in the comment section down below. The Holt Slayer Gate was updated to be more challenging, but now it has been confirmed that it'll be altered once again in an upcoming patch. I think fine-tuning the DLC in pretty small doses is a good idea, but we also shouldn't forget why the expansion was made in the first place, to engage and challenge the players that loved the combat loop of the base campaign. That being said, I thank you for watching.